Hello and welcome. I'm Vijay Srinivas, and this is Federal Special Live on Foreign Minister Jaishankar's visit to Beijing. This is the first visit, high-profile visit from India after the deadly brawl in 2020 between India and China, which was nothing less than a hellish vortex of war. Joining me to discuss more is Mr. Manoj Joshi, who is the Distinguished Fellow at Observer Research Foundation in New Delhi. Thank you very much indeed, sir, for your time. How do you see this particular visit from Foreign Minister Jaishankar in the broader framework of India-China bilateral relations post-Galwan Valley clash?
Well, Mr. Jaishankar has been interacting with his Chinese colleagues right through the last 5 years
Hmm.
after 2020 clashes that we have had with China. So Mr. Jaishankar has been the point man in those discussions, and I think he he set the tone of the visit by saying that India, quite a modest tone. He said India-China ties were uh, steadily improving, you know, uh, as a result of the resolution of the friction on the border and our ability to maintain peace and tranquility there.
Hmm.
So he made it very clear, and that is what he had been saying to the Chinese since the 2020 crisis, that you have to go back to status quo ante if you want normal ties. And I think as of October last year, the two sides have been able to resolve the border issue in Ladakh,
Hmm.
and so that is what he told the Chinese, that our relations are very important. There is also an economic content to our relationship.
Absolutely.
Uh, Also, we there are world consequences of the India-China relationship. The world, their impact on the world, and so therefore it's very, very important for us to have good ties. And but peace on the border was fundamental basis of good relations.
That's right. So we saw three themes, peace, tranquility, and trade, sort of feature in Mr. Jaishankar's statement yesterday, put out by the External Affairs Ministry there. He also met Xi Jinping this morning. He'll also be holding a bilateral with the Chinese Foreign Minister, Wang Yi. Could this be seen as some kind of a thaw or a tactical détente between the relationship between India and China?
Yeah, certainly. As to use Mr. Jaishankar's phrase, the
Hmm.
very fact that he's saying steadily improving, you know. So, yes, they are steadily improving. It is a thaw of sorts,
Hmm.
between the two countries. And this also is a prelude to a possible visit by the Prime Minister for
Hmm.
the SCO summit
That's right.
later this year. And the while Jaishankar has been meeting his counterpart regularly, uh, Prime Minister has not met his counterpart. The Prime Minister, the last meeting, which of course he met Xi Jinping in Kazan in
That's right.
2024, but he visited China last in 2018. That is for the Wuhan summit.
Hmm.
And Xi Jinping has not come here either. So this, I think, this visit is an important step towards normalization of ties between the two countries.
Okay, interesting what you're saying, and that this particular visit could pave the way for a larger, high-profile visit of the two state leaders. But we are also a part of the Quad, right? And we're also a Quad summit is around the corner as well. There are preparations going on between the Quad leaders, and we also see there's an issue of Dalai Lama that sort of creating all kinds of friction between India and China as well as we read on the world press. Do you see any shifts in China's diplomatic posture towards India during this particular visit?
Not really, you see, but I do want to point out that last month our defense minister
Hmm.
Rajnath Singh visited China also.
That's right. Yeah.
See, and interestingly, he bluntly told the Chinese that, look, we should try and settle the border demarcation.
Mm-hmm.
So far border demarcation has, we have been talking of CBMs on the line of actual control, but Rajnath Singh again raised the issue that let's have a permanent solution of the border. You see, this had not been said by any Indian leader in recent times. And the Chinese were a bit evasive on this point. The Chinese official spokeswoman, she said, yes, there is the office of special representatives and they meet and all that. But, the special representatives have met 23 times. The last meeting was in December of 2024. But nothing has been happening on that border settlement. You see,
Mm-hmm.
instead, we are having problems with the LAC,
Mm-hmm.
which has been fairly constant.
Okay. Okay. So, but how we had given the backdrop of the President Trump's tariff threats, and this particular sort of thaw of sorts coming at this crucial time. How do you see Jaishankar's visit to China? So India is this some kind of an India's intention to diversify its trade? Not to largely depend on the United States. United States continues to remain as India's number one trading partner, and there are negotiations, deliberations going on in Washington D.C. The Indian officials are there in D.C. right now. So how do you see this on the backdrop of tariff threats?
In the background of?
Tariff threats.
Oh, well, the tariff threats are from United States, both to India and to China.
Mm-hmm.
And China and the US have actually worked out a framework agreement.
Mm-hmm.
We are yet to make a deal.
Okay.
But from what I can understand is that both countries will face additional tariffs. And both countries realize that given the nature of the American approach to tariffs, it's a good idea to have good China-India relationship. That means we should not allow the China-India relationship to be held hostage to it. Of course, India is also competing with China. In the sense, India is trying to replace China as a producer of low-cost consumer products, hoping to replace China there. So there is an element of competition in our approach to China. But at the same time, we also need China to industrialize. In the sense, India's manufacturing base cannot come up without the Chinese providing us the equipment and the skills. For one example is that of iPhones. Now, you know that iPhones, we have set up an iPhone facility near Chennai. And
Foxconn, that's right.
yeah, and the thing is that the components for that still come from China.
That's
And
right, yeah.
even some of the skilled labor comes from China. And there have been reports that China has been restricting some of that skilled labor from coming in. So China remains a very important component of our economic and trade policy.
Mm-hmm.
And so does the US.
Mm-hmm.
You see, but the problems that we have with them are different. Meaning China restricts China is using non-tariff barriers to restrict our exports. Whereas the US is complaining that we are exporting too much and we're not we are not accepting, there's a 32 billion trade deficit with the US.
Mm-hmm.
So we face a massive trade deficit with China, but we face we have a trade surplus with the US.
That's right.
So we have to reconcile these policies. We have to try and get the Chinese to accept more Indian goods. Whereas in the case of the US, we have to import more American goods.
Mm-hmm. One last question there. So, if you sort of, delve deep into the foreign ministers' press readout yesterday, you seem to have a very optimistic picture. Jairam Ramesh this morning had put out a statement there, on focusing on certain aspects of India-China relationship has been the last couple of months. He talked about, as you rightly point out, the Foxconn, where the Chinese engineers have been pulled out. He also talked about the border standoff, where still there are a certain number of skirmishes in the de facto international border, the line of actual control. Is is it okay to maintain all things are hunky dory as far as China is concerned? We still have a lot of problems, and this is going to take time. And can you still do you can you say that the trust deficit is not there anymore?
No, the trust deficit is very much there. See, our relationship with China was based on a set of agreements: 1993, 1996, 2005, 2012. And in 2020, all those agreements were violated. So the biggest problem of the consequence of 2020 was the trust deficit, and the trust deficit still remains. What we are doing now is trying to repair that deficit, but repairing is always a difficult and long-term task.
That's right.
It's not easy to repair things that way. So, but we are in the process of doing that, and so we have to understand that
The question is, can you repair something where the deputy army chief himself had said the Pakistan, sort of army has been completely armed with Chinese weapons, and China has deliberately involved themselves in during Operation Sindoor. You think that's possible?
Well, Chinese had been arming Pakistan for a long time. From the 1980s, the Chinese have been arming Pakistan, and I think some of the reports of Chinese help to Pakistan during Operation Sindoor are exaggerated. See, but yes, China is definitely a factor in our relationship with Pakistan, because China itself says that we are the iron brother. We are the iron brother of Pakistan. So obviously, when we have problems with Pakistan, China matters. But I don't think China would like to get directly involved
That's right.
in India-Pakistan issues. So I don't think we should worry too much about a Chinese involvement in Pakistan. There'll be a limit to it, but we know that Chinese equipment, Chinese military supplies, they will be a factor. You cannot do anything about it.
Thank you very much, sir. Pleasure talking to you. Thank you.